Welcome to Lot 76 Cars. My name's Simon and today I'm at Bicester Heritage for the Collecting Cars Coffee Run. We've positively got an aircraft hangar full of cars to have a look at and quite a few outside. So stick with us and let's go and have a look, shall we? So many people put the Peugeot 205 on a handling pedestal. Well, actually it's on a real pedestal here. This is a special car because it's one of the Tollman motorsport cars. So Tollman have actually done some conversions or resto mods to Peugeot 205s. This one is in a beautiful colour. I hope the camera's picking that up because it's absolutely lovely, isn't it? Standard interior. It looks like a 1.9 build looking by the wheels, and of course it's the Tollman edition. Doesn't that look a treat? Well, that is lovely, isn't it? And if you had the budget, who wouldn't want a perfect resto mod of an early 205? So if you have got the budget, then maybe we can tempt you with this beautiful new Rolls-Royce Phantom. Well, it's an interesting colour combination. We'll go and have a look inside in a second because fortunately the car's open, but what incredible wheels that car's got. My God, what size are those? They're massive. Some lovely detail features as you would expect. The quality is exquisite. The sort of so-called suicide doors, let's just take a look there. Let's have a look inside. Well, you can drive a bus through the back, literally. It's absolutely massive in there, isn't it, as you would expect. Passenger controls for the seats. Beautiful Phantom tread plates there. That looks incredible, doesn't it? Same carried forward obviously into the front. Some lovely features on the door. Just those touches, you know, the chrome embellishments there. And let's have a look at the dash. Look how the Phantom on the dash actually sits. It looks sort of 3D effect. It sits proud of the dash, doesn't it? Wow, that is something else, isn't it? Well, quite honestly, this is an incredible car. It's an incredible budget, I guess. Let's take a look around the back. As you can see, it's the quite clearly see somebody's gone for the old two-tone spec with a blue pinstripe on it. Well, there you go. Lottery winners apply here. So here we've got Frontline's take on the MGB GT with improved suspension, better brakes, and in some cases a V8 engine. This is their Frontline MGB GT. I think Pininfarina designed originally. They've taken the original silhouette and they've really done a great job with it. To be honest with you, from a distance, they haven't spoilt it. It looks as crisp as the original, I think, Pininfarina design. Interior looks absolutely lovely. Now, clearly that is not standard, but it's been done in a very sympathetic way. So familiar to MGB fans all over the world, but in some ways potentially better. That's the Frontline MGB GT, and folks, I like it. So the Capri name may be back in the Ford lineup, but this is the true Capri. It's the 280. It's one of the run-out edition cars. Towards the back end of the Capri's life, they actually had some issues selling these, to be honest with you. This is a relatively late one. 86, I'm guessing by the plate. I think there were some even E-plated ones, beautifully finished in that lovely sort of green metallic. It's got a factory pop-up sunroof, not one in Tesco's car park, and doesn't it look a treat? Worth top money these days. Everybody's got great memories about these. I've been driven in them, have driven them, and quite honestly they are a true icon, aren't they? So there's quite a few Porsches here today, so forgive me if I stick with the older ones. I'm a bit retro. This is a 964 Turbo, and in actual fact the Turbo itself is celebrating 50 years this year. I think it was launched in 1974, and there's a special series of 1974 cars to commemorate it. But back a few years ago, this was a few generations in, this J-plated, I guess, 1992 car with the proper whale tail spoiler in white. Well, that's what many people would recognise as being the iconic Porsche Turbo, wouldn't they? Now, I suspect at this stage you're thinking I've tuned into Lot 76 helicopters instead of Lot 76 cars. Well, no, it's all about cars, but somehow here at Bicester Heritage, They've sneaked a helicopter in. Beat that. So this Porsche 930 has a bit of a story. It's actually owned by a channel subscriber, so apologies I didn't pick up on your name. But it's an ex-South African car, and it's what they call a special wishes car. So although it's a turbo and got the turbo engine, but still only a 4-speed gearbox, surprisingly, for some years. This 83 car's got things like an intercooler. It has got special skirts, side skirts, front and rear skirts on the car. I think it's got larger, or at least quad exhaust from what I was told. It's a beautiful colour, isn't it? I think it's called Kiln Red. Hopefully I got that right and did the car justice. But I really like that one. Very unusual as well, that colour. That just purrs, doesn't it? Absolutely purrs. Launched in 1961 at the Geneva Motor Show. They drove through the night to take extra cars across, such was the interest. It is the Jaguar EType Series 1 car. It's got the enclosed headlamps. It's a fixed head coupe rather than the 2+2, which to my mind looks a little bit ungainly. That looks beautiful, doesn't it? So this is an absolutely amazing William Towns Lagonda. Now these were built in small numbers, just a few hundred cars. There's a couple of people own most of production, it seems. Roger Dudding owns 25, and I think I've met another owner who owns probably 11 or 12 of them. The owners invited me to have a look inside, so that would be rude not to. So shall we do that? It's about the closest I get. So not huge amounts of room for a car that's so long. Lovely appointed in that red. This is some of the electronics that did give some of the cars some issues, some sort of now rudimentary, but at the time state-of-the-art electronics. Some of the switchgear I sort of recognise. Is that BL switchgear? Looks like it might be. Answers on a postcard, please. Beautiful interior, isn't it? I love it. Well, that is incredible, incredible car. We'll just try and take a look in the back if we can. I think the back's open as well. The Londa badge to remind you if you needed it. And then beautifully appointed in the back as well. That's gorgeous, isn't it? So thanks to the owner for letting me have a look in that car. So although we spend a lot of time on rare but nobody cares cars, in this instance I've got to stop by this one because it is rare. There's only 3 of these SF90s produced in this Inspirazione, I've got that completely wrong, sorry, specification, offered to Ferrari collectors. Lots of carbon parts. They're in green. Hopefully somebody's left the door open, so hopefully we can get a quick shot of it. Absolutely beautiful in there, isn't it? Well, that might be the closest I get to an SF90, so I better linger a bit longer with that one. Oh, it looks absolutely lovely, doesn't it? Oh, a green Ferrari. What's not to like about a green Ferrari? Let's have a quick look round the back. The engine's open for us to have a look at. Customary Italian flag there. Well, of course, what else would it be? Wow, that is something else. So forgive me to giving so much airtime to a Ferrari, but honestly, in this occasion, I think it is well deserved. So from the back, it looks like an ordinary, can we call it ordinary Audi Quattro? But in actual fact, let's get round to the side. This is one of the short wheelbase cars, built especially, homologated for rallying, actually designed as one of his projects by a British guy called Peter Birtwistle, who I'm very fortunate to have met. Lovely chap, and he designed this whilst he was at Audi, and didn't he do a good job? Very successful in rallying, and what a treat it looks, doesn't it? So as an evocation of the 50s road cars, is this Formosa 120 GR with a, I think it's a straight 6 engine. I'm not sure what manufacturer's engine it's got in there. It certainly looks extremely well done. It's got a hint of E-Type about the bonnet, I must admit. Lovely interior. That's been done really, really well, hasn't it? You wouldn't know that somebody'd actually built this themselves, because they've done an incredible job with it. So there you go. That might be the only one Formosa I've ever seen and will ever see. Incredible. So back in the relatively early days of Honda's car making, some of the cars we start to recognise, like this one, is this Honda S800, I think from 68-69. This particular car's for sale. diminutive little sports cars, aren't they? Almost like a mini GT6. Looks lovely. I think with this particular one, I'm pretty sure I saw a video that mentions these are chain drive, some unusual drive that involves a load of chains at the back. Don't ask me any more than that. Google it and put it in the comments if you know more. But nevertheless, a very sleek looking sports car. Difficult to get across the side of it here because it is tiny. So this is only a second owner Ford Escort Mark 1 1300E. It's got those Sibioscas, trademark Sibioscas at the front. It's Cabri's purple. Look, even the washer fluid is purple. Indeed. Beautiful. Was the first owner unfortunately passed away, and it was parked in the garage for many years, but this owner's brought it back to life. Lovely wood interior. Must be towards the end of Mark 1 production, I guess, because I think the Mark 2 arrived in 74. And you know what, if that's not enough for you, then how about a matching rally chopper bicycle? Which of the viewers have one of those, eh? Well, doesn't, what a fabulous combo that one is, isn't it? I'll take that. So I seem to recall that the Chrysler Sunbeam, and then very soon following a takeover by PSA Group, it became called the Talbot Sunbeam. So this is the Lotus version. Now the original car, I believe, was developed on an Avenger platform. An incredible feat, something like 18 months development, unheard of in the day. But what followed this was a sporty car. They came up with something that I think Lotus provided either the head or the block, and they came up with something that would be very successful in rallying, led by team principal Des O'Dell, famous rally leader. It's an AC registered car, so it looks like it's got an original Coventry plate on from there, so it could be one of the original cars. Not too many about, and doesn't it look a treat? So this Coke bottle Mark III Cortina, it's got an RS badge, so it's worthy of a little bit of investigation. So let's have a look around the front, because I believe under the hood is a Cosworth powertrain. In fact, it is. So it's got the 16 valve double overhead cam Cosworth engine, and it looks absolutely immense, doesn't it? It's got some super features in there. Look how they've done the front. They've sort of carboned the bumpers, they've black coated the grille. Well, that would certainly give the other boy racers quite a surprise at the traffic lights, wouldn't it? There you go, a Cosworth Cortina. You didn't know one existed? Well, somebody's done one, and it does. So supercars, we've got a few here today. This one catches my eye. It's the Mercedes SLS. This sort of frozen look paint, matte paint. Well, it's not to everybody's taste, but it does seem to suit this car particularly well, I must admit. So we'll get a shot from there. Well, it's certainly an aggressive looking car, isn't it? You compare it to the Porsche at the side of it, and it really makes a statement, doesn't it? So if you fancy a homegrown British sports car, what about the cars designed by Lee Noble? Originally, I think, built up in Leicestershire somewhere. These ran with Ford, I think, 2.5 litre powertrains. Absolutely incredible cars. I mean, they were very, very highly rated for a car built on a low budget. Significantly, they made a huge impression with the motoring magazines. Now, where would we be without the Lancia Delta Integrale? This looks like the Evolution model, the later one. One of the most successful cars in rallying. I'm lucky to have driven one of these, not quite like this, but a couple of years back. I think this one's in what, yellow fly. All came in left-hand drive, though some unofficial right-hand drive conversions, and Giugiaro design on a Strada platform. Well, that turned out well, didn't it? And as usual, often at these events, you find some of the best cars in the car park. So this Mark II Mini looks an absolute treat. It's got the later Mark II lights on the square lights, got those beautiful period Dunlop alloys, and proper Italian job set of lights at the front. What's not to like, eh? Unbelievably, the Maestro turned 40 last year, and this is the MG version. I love those lattice type wheels. They really do it for me. Not sure they do it for anybody else. The early ones were 1.6s, and then eventually they progressed up to the 2-litre electronic fuel injection version. Huge glass area on these cars, isn't it? So looking pretty stock is a Peugeot 309. Never planned to be a Peugeot. It was actually going to be called the Talbot Arizona, and then due to the takeover of PSA, then they rolled that car into the 309. Now, the one thing you might notice about it, eagle-eyed viewers, is the doors are taken from the Peugeot 205. They're apparently an exact fit. They're interchangeable. Well, that's handy to know, I suppose, isn't it? But this special equipment version, so-called, must be a pretty rare car these days. You seldom see these, particularly in this condition, if at all. Lovely. I think from the bi-turbo era is this Maserati 430. It's an interesting looking design, isn't it? Practical, I suppose, as a four-door. Some lovely features. I do like those wheels, that very simplistic design with the trident on there. Love how it's got Maserati stamped in the door handles. No Fiat cast-offs for them there. And again, if you didn't know it was a Maserati, we've got the trident on the C-pillar there as well. Well, that looks an absolute treat, doesn't it? I do like that. Sacre bleu, it's a Renault Twingo, the single box design, I think designed by Patrick Lequemont, never actually officially imported into the UK. A few of them exist in this pea green colour, and I tell you what, that looks super cute. I would love to have going one of those if anybody feels brave enough to let me do that. Left-hand drive only, but that's one of the compromises. So Donald Healey developed this sports car but couldn't really build it at the beginning, so he relied on a relationship with Austin to actually help him do that. The scuttle and I think the full pan is Austin Atlantic, though you'd never know it, would you really, looking at it? This is a late one, Series 3 3000, a proper so-called hairy chested British sports car. Beautiful. So who doesn't love a very lightweight Citroen AX? I'm pretty sure something like the BX, the bonnet and the boot were plastic. I could be wrong, stick it in the comments, I'm just ad-libbing here. This is a GT Sportif, so it I don't remember this trim in the UK. Maybe there was a trim line. I remember the GT, but I'm not sure about the decals on this one. Great to drive. I did drive one of these back in the day, and they're an immense amount of fun. Very lightweight, not huge amounts of power, but it doesn't matter. 205 GTI Rally, a proper track car. This one stripped out everything, and they ended up with a rally and lost quite a lot of weight in the process. This one's even got it's even got a carbon fibre sticker on the bonnet, if that lightens it, or probably adds a bit of weight to it, but not much. There you go. Arguably another incredibly over-engineered Mercedes is a W140 series S-Class. S-Class rather, bringing lots and lots of innovation to Mercedes. The original cars had the parking poles rather than parking sensors. A lot of these went for export. In fact, I found one a few years ago and it just parked outside a scrapyard, which was such a shame. But that one does look a beauty. I would love to try one of those as well. That would be the ultimate, I guess, in refinement, wouldn't it? So Porsches, we've got just a few. Great turnout by the Porsche Club Great Britain. So let's just take a cruise down this row of Porsches seemingly through the years. So this rather special Caterham 360R is a one-off that's been auctioned for charity for Mission Motorsport, and the difference is it was built with jointly with the RAF and Caterham, and uses panels from a decommissioned Puma helicopter. Yes indeed, the side panels there are genuinely have come straight from a helicopter. As you can see, the switchgear inside is also from a helicopter, believe it or not. And even I think the rear panel has come from a helicopter as well. It's, I think, maybe the side panel. That is absolutely immense, isn't it? Well, it just shows you what you can do with your old scrap helicopters. So if you're out there wanting to scrap your Puma helicopter, maybe you too could turn it into a Caterham 360R lookalike. Wow. So it's something like 100 kilos plus lighter than the R26. It's the R26R. So Renault Sport threw out all those unnecessary things like the radio, like the back seats, like the passenger airbag apparently, and came up with the R26R with a massively quick time around the Nürburgring. Quite a few carbon parts in here, but I think genuine carbon parts in this instance. And they created this monster. 230 brake horsepower. Probably doesn't sound a huge amount by today's standard, but with that light weight, it certainly makes it an absolute flying machine. I don't see too many of those these days. I must admit they're a rare one anyway. So yes, it's a Jensen Interceptor, I hear you cry. Yes it is, but it's one with a difference. And it's an FF, the esteemed FF, built with Harry Ferguson's painted four-wheel drive system. The car is actually longer than a normal Jensen Interceptor. I think the wings are faired in there at the front, but the front wing itself is actually longer, though it's not obvious at first. That is a particularly rare car. I think one of the first cars with production four-wheel drive and also with ABS brakes. A real innovator back in the day, and rare to see an FF. I've only seen a very small number of these over the years, I must admit, because they only built a small number. But this one's beautiful, isn't it? It's even got an 8-track stereo in it. Wow, that's lovely, isn't it? So this looks like one of the original series of Cleo V6s Tom Watkins saw built or engineered. A totally wacky. Half the car, the engine takes half the car. Not quite as much poke as you would imagine, but just don't they look that Group B rally car look? They just look incredible, don't they? So resto mods seem to be very much the theme today, and this is Kingsley's version of the Land Rover Defender. They've done a version of the original Series 1 Range Rover. I guess the spec is basically anything you want. You've got, looks like LED headlamps in there, clearly recognising still the Defender, side repeaters, but I guess the biggest change is, if you look past that bare aluminium, is the interior. Now that doesn't look like any Defender I've ever seen. That is beautiful inside. I love the woven seats. I'm not sure how practical looking in the back of this is down on the farm, but you've got a couple of benches in the back if you so wish. Again, not sure about putting the old hay bales in there, but as a piece of craftsmanship, it's absolutely exquisite, isn't it? Look at the tonneau cover. I just noticed the tonneau cover on the back. That's an interesting take on the tonneau cover, isn't it? It's still the tonneau cover, part roof. Not sure how practical it is, but there you go. What an interesting looking vehicle. So thanks again for joining me on Lot 76 Cars at the Collecting Cars Coffee Run at Bicester Heritage. Hope you've enjoyed the video today and the cars we've seen, so please like, share, subscribe and click on notifications so as not to miss my next video. And as always, thanks for watching.